All right. Well, it is my pleasure to be here. Welcome to the Coca-Cola Company. I hope you're having a great morning. It sounds like the sessions are very energizing and going well, and this is going to be no different. We have an all-star panel today to talk to you about how to resonate with the modern consumers. So that's code for younger than me. But it'll be a great discussion. I know, as you've heard, hopefully, and I heard Eric did a great job this morning talking a bit about Coca-Cola, but I kind of think that, Coca-Cola and sports are pretty ubiquitous, right? We're like peanut butter and jelly, Fairlife milk and cookies, Coke and pizza, sports and Coca-Cola really go together. So we're going to spend a bit of time just talking about partnerships today and how a lot of brands, agencies, and partners are advancing the way we look at that with the new consumers today. So just to start out, I know that each of you were just introduced, but maybe just give us like one or two lines, a little bit about your background. So we'll start with you, Melissa.
Sure. Hi. So excited to be here. Melissa Berger. I'm at Digitas and run our solutions team. But background actually started brand side at the Home Depot here in the ATL. Woo woo. Then was on the NASCAR circuit for many years where I actually had to tell people about NASCAR. So I learned a lot. Spent a ton of time there, college athlete. So focused really now on CRM and loyalty and deepening customer relationships. So I love this topic, but really excited to be here. That's probably my two-line spiel.
Perfect. Jill?
Hi, I'm Jill Thomas. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of the PGATour SuperStore. Oh, I'm not on.
No, hold on.
Whenever there's a mic, I want to sing. So,
Thanks. Cool.
all right. Can you hear me now? I have been with the PGATour SuperStore for the past 6 years. It's owned by A&B Sports and Entertainment here in Atlanta. Some people may know that. Some people may not know that Arthur Blank is the owner of the PGATour SuperStore. He's also the owner of several other sports teams here in Atlanta and the stadium, but also one that's very near and dear to my heart, our TGL team, the Atlanta Drive Golf Club, the champions, the SoFi Cup champion TGL team. Which I am honored to be the governor of the Atlanta Drive. So I've been in Atlanta for about 10 years. I came from the Walt Disney Company where I spent about 15 years. So.
Awesome. Luis here. On, right? Yeah, it's on. Yeah, perfect. You can hear me. Originally from Venezuela. I was born and raised in Caracas, where I started working for Colgate-Palmolive many months ago. And then I went to another consumer good company, Johnson, and with them, I moved from Caracas, warm Caracas, to very cold Wisconsin, to Milwaukee, to their headquarters, where I survived 5 winters. And about 10 years ago, I made a wise decision to move south. Yeah. And I'm based in Miami, working for MasterCard. Well, actually now in the last year and a half, heading the sponsorships team for North America at MasterCard, but in New York. So I'm in between New York and Miami now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And just 2 seconds on me. And joined the Coca-Cola Company about 6.5 years ago as a chief people officer. Before that was actually at the company where Jill is now. We didn't cross paths, but I was the head of HR for Arthur's companies at A&B Sports. And so sports is near and dear to me as well. So it's you're wondering, why is a chief people officer talking at a marketing conference? I kind of weaseled my way in. And then I just want to give a shout out to Luis Romero, who was supposed to be on the panel today, but Delta Airlines and the weather had different ideas for that. So he sends his regrets. Okay, so we're going to start out. Jill, how would you define a modern consumer in today's sports and culture landscape?
Well, I can speak specifically to the golf consumer. The modern golf consumer is experience-driven, focused on the lifestyle. They're fueled by technology, social connection, inclusivity is very important, and self-expression, which makes it a very different customer than, say, 5 or 6 years ago. The avid golfer was primarily focused on game improvement, and the modern golf consumer is focused on lifestyle and connection and a totally different sort of way of thinking. So it makes our job a little interesting and quite different today.
And golf kind of really did a escalation during COVID. It was like the one sport you could play and manage social distancing.
Yeah, I think obviously it served a purpose during COVID, but I think what happened is people realized that you can sort of social distance, but personally connect with other people, touch grass, breathe air. I always remind people 80% of golf courses are public. It's not really just, it's sort of the stereotypical, the bad reputation or the parts of it. I usually say some pretty colorful things about this. I will not today. I'll try to mind my P's and Q's. But the game has changed. It is more diverse. It is younger. And I think people, when you think about the crazy world that we live in between COVID, being overwhelmed with technology, the mental health crisis that's happening in our world, I think golf has really served as an outlet for a lot of people. And I don't write my score down very, rarely. I'm not good at golf, which is the primary reason I don't write my score down. But it's because that's not why I'm there. I'm there for a different reason. And so tapping into that culturally is really what today's topic is about. So it's a very different world. But
that's great. Melissa, coming from the agency side, what is your definition or the agency point of view on a modern customer?
Well, a lot of brands are struggling because you still need to keep your current customers, right? And you need to keep them happy, but you also need to think about the newer consumers. So the constant mining for data, we have a million different sources we use and really thinking about what matters to them. We also leverage different platforms for social listening and really understanding what matters. So for different brands, we're getting a million Gen Z briefs these days, right? That's like all anyway. And soon as we Gen Alpha, these kids who are spending billions of dollars already. But it's really understanding what matters to them. And there's some pushes around authenticity. So the AI conversation is hot right now. They're pointing out what's inauthentic and they don't like it. So it's really about being really targeted and thinking through what modern means, because modern to a golf fan is going to be different than modern to an NBA fan. So it's really understanding them more holistically. I think that matters.
Well, and Luis, to have you tag in on that, what Melissa said was about the Gen Zs, Alphas, whatever they're called now. But how do you balance as a, brand and the partnerships that you sign up for? How do you balance speaking to those different types of consumers, keeping the ones you have while being able to attract newer consumers?
Right. I think that at MasterCard, what we're trying to do is to define an umbrella strategy that can cut across different generational cohorts indistinctly and root that strategy, that marketing strategy in a common pain point of the modern world. One thing that we've been debating at MasterCard is also, of course, modern consumers are still into younger consumers, but there is also something in the mindset that all of us are having right now on our habits, as how we travel from the digital world to the physical world indistinctly, how we have become more digitally savvy and how more informed we are, all of us. Younger generations, of course, are going to be a little bit ahead of us, not that young generations. But at the end, that informs our strategy. And what we're trying to do, to answer your question, is say, what is a common problem that we brands have in today's world to reach out to this modern consumer, to these different generations? And it's the noise, the advertising noise. All of us are exposed to hundreds, if not thousands, of messages every day. So it's so difficult for a brand to really stand and break the clutter of noise. And what we are doing is, okay, let's do that, but in a way that is also relevant for that audience. And what we found is, in passions like sports or passions in general, a great vehicle to connect with people through their passions and also being part of the cultural moments, the cultural conversations. So basically, we have been working on, defining different campaigns that have that elevated strategy, and then we start defining tactics based on each one of the sports that we might have. And we might activate golf differently through the same partnership to a Gen Zer. Maybe it's more in a digital ecosystem, or with more related to gaming, or with the future of golf that we're going to talk in a second, versus a Gen X that maybe we bring the legends of golf to the conversation and through them talk about our products, services, and mainly through their passions.
Legends. That's another word that can be used for those of us that are not modern. Legends. I think, for us, and I don't know if Eric talked about it this morning, but, we have the same thing going on with Coca-Cola. So obviously Red Coke is our flagship brand. We need to grow that consumer base, but try to attract newer drinkers, younger drinkers. And so some of the creations that we've come up, the Coke creations, which were the formula created with marshmallow and kind of all these other folks, is really trying to balance out bringing in those younger consumers. And we try to do that through data. So, Melissa, could you talk a little bit about how you're using data and insights to really balance out how you go to market for these consumers?
Yeah, and it sort of goes a little bit further in what I was saying before. So, every agency, right, we get a brief and we want to start with understanding who the audience is. And so what we've done, Publicis has Epsilon, which is a data provider. And it's been great because we can mine in there for different audience insights. A lot of brands only have first party data. So we're able to then look at the third parties of like, where are they shopping? Where are they going? What are they buying? How are they buying? And where are they going? How are they consuming media? So all of this helps to define kind of who they are. We also have now integrated things like Fanalytics. We've brought in some different Nielsen sports data. So there's just a lot of different data that we kind of pull in. And at the end of the day, that's now helping to think about what sponsorships should brands actually do. Or maybe you have a sponsorship that you're not maximizing. How can we think about what that looks like or with an athlete? And then compounding that with, okay, what matters to the consumer? So a lot of that is truly used for us to try to figure out what's that insight of what matters. So like what you were saying, Louise, at the end of the day, what matters to each of those audiences, we really want to hone in on and then brief creative that way, or brief kind of our omni-channel team, our commerce team. So it's really kind of connecting the dots. Without the data, at the end of the day, a lot of, you go into a sponsorship a little bit more blind about like, okay, we know there's some crossover here, but what are we really going to get out of it? And I think that's where now the access to data has helped us say, this is actually going to be a good investment for you, because let's admit it, the reason we do sponsorships is to what? Get more customers and get people to love your brand and spend all their money. So we still have to remember that is the core reason why brands even do these sponsorships.
Anyone else have any thoughts about data?
I would like to echo that last part because, especially for big advertisers, say Coca-Cola, MasterCard, PGA, it's so important to know where to make informed decisions, how to make informed decisions to put the money in the big investments. And data plays a vital role there. We have valuation models to understand before we commit in a partnership, in a long-term relationship, if the value of that partnership based on the viewership, the audience, trends, etc., is really equivalent to the price that the property is giving us. So that informs our negotiation strategy. And then from there, all the activation, understanding the fandom, the intersections of that property with others that we might have, it's also fueled by data. So we live and breathe data, I think, these days, just to make, better marketing decisions.
And we were talking about, just before this, the balance between personalization, using data to speak to the consumers, and then crossing it over into one, annoying, or two, creepy, because all of a sudden you know too much about the consumer, right? And all of a sudden they're sending you things that you're like, why are you sending that to me? How do you guys balance that, get enough data to have it a personalized experience, but don't cross over into a credibility issue of invasiveness?
So obviously privacy and compliance is number one. But what I will say is if you've collected data and you don't use it, that is just bad behavior, right? If a consumer gives you their data, use it. So don't collect it if you're not going to use it. We see that all the time. People just collect names and it sits there. So you really want to make sure there's a value exchange and a purpose. The personalization and creepy is interesting because people don't always love it, but then they go put their year in review on Facebook or Instagram and go nuts about it, right? Because they're like, look at what I did this year. So there's a fine line, I think, between the creepy and then people being obsessed with a brand telling them exactly what they did with them this year that they can go brag about.
Personalization at scale is very, very hard to execute. I don't know if anybody's figured that out yet.
It is very hard.
I've been talking for we said we were going to not talk in decades, for many years, because I'm a Gen Alpha. Here. About personalization, CRM, loyalty, right person, right message, right moment. And we've been talking about it for decades, and it is still so very hard to execute. But I think what the consumer wants is they want relevant communication if you can do it right. So, some of us like a smaller brand, we have to go slow to go fast. So right now we are, when I started at the PGATour SuperStore, we didn't have a POS system that talked to our e-commerce platform. We did not have a repository for customer data where we could access it and make it portable and leverage it back to give the customer the right message at the right time. We're like literally just getting there. So if you are currently a PGATour SuperStore customer and you're getting the spam that you get every day from us, I apologize. But it is a process, and we are finally turning the corner there. But I know for me, I'll give you every piece of information you want, and I don't care how creepy it is if it's relevant to me. And that really is our obligation as marketers, is to really, think about the consumer. I don't always think about what we're selling. I do try to think about how we can make their life better through the information and the assistance that we can provide, whether that is game improvement or wearing the right outfit. We kind of know where they are, and we want to be relevant and where they are.
Yeah, that's me. I don't golf, but I do like the golf clothes.
Of course.
And definitely PGATour SuperStore has some nice women's golf clothes, so go check it out. Melissa, what are some of the biggest cultural shifts you've seen in influencing consumer behavior in sports in the past couple of years?
It's interesting. We've talked about the upswing in golf, right? Whether that was COVID driven or not. NBA, women's NBA, I'm here for it. Anyone? I love that people are paying attention to women's sports. Wish they had done that decades ago when we were young female athletes, but that's okay. So I do think it's really interesting. I think there's a couple of things that are happening. One, people are like dying to be passionate for things again. And a lot of what we're seeing in culture is people, jumping into conversations and seeing who else is in them and then getting really excited about it. So the use of influencers, I'll give a shout out to my girl Windsor, her campus, because we've been working with them on ways to bring kind of that college, those college age women especially along, being able to leverage their influencers that are on the ground at these colleges to talk about these different brands, but in a really authentic way. And so I think that's where we're starting to see a little bit more momentum is that trust and authenticity from some of the creators and influencers that then help people say, oh, that is really interesting. Let me learn more. So I think there's a lot of things happening right now, but I do think the rise of creators and influencers has been a huge cultural shift and why people are starting to pick up on new sports and new opportunities.
Yeah, I think also the surgence of streaming video, movies. We're going to talk about movie for a second with you. I mean, the awareness of sports is far greater now than it was before. So
think of what Full Swing has done to golf.
Yes.
Last years with Netflix and Drive to Survive,
exactly.
Before the F1 movie.
Yeah. So let's talk about F1 for a minute. Another one of my favorite topics.
Yeah, I think that properties like F1, for example, have realized the power of being part of the cultural conversation to launch or relaunch the passion for car racing here in the US. F1 fandom outside of the US is humongous. If you go to Europe, if you go to Latin America, it's amazing. Here, yes, there are followers, but it's more the traditional car race obsessed type
Although lots of women are watching F1 now. They didn't
Yes.
used to watch it because of the movies that are out.
Actually, Lisa, you're so right. I just looking at a report. MasterCard became partners with McLaren team last year. And since then, we've been like kind of absorbing a lot of information on F1. And I just saw a report last week. And this year, I mean, during the last 5 years, the mix of men and women in the F1 audience has gone from like 80 male, 20 women to almost 55-45 right now, and very much skewing towards young people. How? Through culture. I mean, F1 is really bringing celebrities, musicians, artists, and now movies.
And that's what Melissa said to women in sports. The same thing when I was working for the A&B group. Football, obviously traditionally skewed primarily men, and I think it's moved. I don't know exactly the number. I don't want to say something that it's not correct. But it's moved up the continuum. Far more women are watching NFL than used to be. And same thing, like you said, for some of the other sports. But Jill, let's talk about this new platform of sports. Golf, we were talking about fresh air, all that kind of smelling the grass. So talk about TGL, because I don't know if you guys don't know what TGL is. You start out playing on a course, but then you transition into
It's all inside. So anybody watch TGL this year? Oh, good. Oh, look at that. That's exciting. Well, golf has, historically appealed to an older customer. TGL is where the intersection of the young customer and golf come together. It takes place down in Jupiter, Florida, in the SoFi Center. It's an indoor golf experience on a simulator that is about 6 stories tall. If you've watched it on television, it moves pretty fast. It's very fast paced. It's very bettable. It's very quick. You're listening to your favorite golfers talk and strategize out loud. I think that has been a big appeal for it. The betting can't be undersold. I think that's a big part of it. But it's really targeted to the sports fan, less the golf fan. And it is in its first year, garnering a lot more views than even some of the best, live golf on the Golf Channel. So I always say Golf Channel, best event you're going to have on the Golf Channel might get about 600,000 views at any one time. TGL was well into the 800 to over 1 million if Tiger was playing or Rory. So really took off. Second youngest audience in all of sports behind the NBA. So really introducing new golfers to new people, new fans, sports fans to the game of golf in a really different way. You can play it in your house. You can get a simulator, and it's very affordable in these days. And you can do it at home. So we've been talking about how sometimes when we're out playing on the course, you might see some young kids out there throwing the hammer if you know what the hammer is. So it really is influencing sort of the future of golf. And like I said, very proud to have the Atlanta Drive bring the first championship back to Arthur Blank in Atlanta.
That's awesome. And Luis, MasterCard is a sponsor of the New York team.
Yeah.
I'm bitter.
Yeah,
I'm
the
very
final
bitter.
was New York.
Very bitter. We got a little competition
going
on here.
Are we doing December? Is what you said there?
Yeah, there's a rematch in December.
Yeah. We saw a great opportunity to talk to younger fans or the future generation of golf fans here in the US through TGL. And we observed precisely what you're saying, how people were getting engaged with the content because it's so real, so live, mic'd up moments between the players, just talking about how they strategize the next play, whatever, that we talked with the PGA Tour to transfer that platform of content to the tournament. So starting at Arnold Palmer Invitational, actually, that we also kind of have a special sponsorship of that one, of that tournament. We created a concept that is beyond the ropes, and it's mainly caddy and players conversations, moderated in somehow also through our content creators. So we are trying to really bring to the golf fans content that is valuable for them, that they really want to see. We don't want to be an intrusive brand, but rather an enabler of this new type of content. And we're only see very good results with TGL and can't wait to see.
And it's fan experience, right? I mean, it's what you were saying, Melissa. It's like a lot of people that watch the sports now, it's less about the technical aspects of it, is it the entertainment. And I think that's the same thing with TGL is obviously if you're an avid golfer, it might not be your game of choice. But if you want entertainment with professional golfers that the names of and you can hear the banter and all that. I mean, it's just entertaining.
It really is. I always say golf is a great equalizer because it doesn't matter if you're an F1 driver or you're, the greatest 3-point shooter in the world. Golf is a sport you want to master. And I was at the American Century Championship last week, and everywhere you look, there's some famous athlete who is trying to master this game of golf. And so, the fun thing about TGL, we had Celine Dion was at one of our matches. Josh Allen did his bachelor party at one of our matches. So everywhere you look, there is a really cool, cultural figure. There were musicians and artists and every kind of creators. They really tapped into creators. So if you have a chance to watch it on ESPN. But if you have an even better chance, go down there and experience it because it's pretty cool.
That's great. Well, we're running out of time. I'm going to ask one more question, then I'm going to do a lightning round to wrap us up. And this might be a slightly self-serving question, but to anyone that wants to answer, what role does food and beverage play in how you connect with sports fans on a cultural level?
I can take just to start the conversation here. I think that, food and beverage, like everything, it's so synonym to the sports experience, right? I mean, you go to a stadium, you go to watch a game, you're at home just watching the game, and all you think is how to prepare before, during, and after the game, and everything is in that ritual that you might have with your friends, with your families around food and beverage. That's something that I think brands should continue exploring. What I refer to is the intersection of that sport, that passion with others, because at the end, fans are fluid. They are, yes, they love golf, they love baseball, but they also love a good food, good drink, a good culinary experience, shopping, whatever. So that way you can at least get out of the main noise of that sport and try to activate your brand in a more distinctive way. And that's kind of the strategy that I think we're trying to follow. And we're seeing that. And just to tap a little bit into food, MasterCard sponsors the All-Star Game. So this week here in Atlanta is a great week for us. Yesterday, we were at the Marcus Samuelsson restaurant here in the city, surprising MasterCard card holders who were baseball fans. And we gave them tickets to today's Home Run Derby and tomorrow's All-Star Game, and the opportunity to go and practice batting with some, of the stars of their idols. So that's how you, I think, can connect more authentically as well with those fans.
And everybody knows with golf, at the turn, you have to have a Glizzy and a Powerade. I mean, you have to. It's just maybe an adult beverage.
Yes, awesome.
You can use your MasterCard to buy them.
You can use a MasterCard to buy your Powerade and your, body armor.
No, in all seriousness, it's a really fun way to activate golf fans and fans. Just food brings people to the table, brings the conversation together. So it's a different way into relevancy, to complement that experience, the whole lifestyle and the culture of it. So there's some really cool golf influencers right now who are actually chefs and cooks who kind of their entire content is around the food and the beverage that goes with the game. So it's kind of fun.
It's interesting. I don't know if anyone knows this. Super Bowl, how many wings do you think are consumed in the U.S.?
Biggest sport food.
Billions.
Yeah.
Billions of wings, right? And what goes great with your wings? A Coca-Cola. Yeah. So, again, you got to think about all these associations going back to your peanut butter and jelly. Like there are certain foods and drinks that are always associated with sports. Separate category, but I don't know if anyone saw the Angel Soft ad in the last Super Bowl where they did a 30-second spot for people to go to the bathroom. And it was literally called a potty-tunity. But that's so clever, right? Because people are they don't want to get up and stop eating their wings and drinking their beers and their Cokes and their everything else, but they're so it was brilliant. It won an award in Cannes, but those are the types of things, very on brand, but it's the types of things to think about of the association between different things and watching sports. So could see some fun new briefs coming out of this.
Appreciate that. All right. So lightning round before we wrap up here. What are you most excited about when it comes to the future of sports culture and marketing?
Yeah, I'll go. The future of golf is female. Fastest growing segment of golf is women and juniors and specifically junior girls. So all the excitement that we're seeing with the women's NBA and other female sports, I'm really excited to see golf really take off with females.
In my case, I think that innovation, it's an area that excites me very much. Sports marketing has been always, a test bed for innovation. In terms of sponsorships, we've seen, brands playing in the metaverse and then bringing golf or baseball games to Fortnite and that kind of experiments. We are putting a bet on AI, agentic AI, trying to use those tools in a way that, can create content and create new type of partnerships for consumers. And there is so much still to do in this industry. And I think that AI can really be, a game changer for brands and for fans at the end, and also the property owners.
I'll go super fast, Lisa, since we're running out of time. So this is one of the areas where you have passionate customers and people already into it, right? So I love the future of that. You're harnessing all that passion. I think for brands, a big watch out and thinking about the future is depending on how people come into your brand, you want to nurture that. So going back to the point around serum and loyalty, if someone comes in through an activation, that's a very different person that's just like coming and actually being a big advocate of your brand. So how are you treating them differently and pulling them in? So I love the kind of like surround sound. So to me, brands need to be thinking about the before, during, and after, from whether it's a tentpole event or an annual sponsorship you're doing of a player or team. Really think about the other ways you can start to engage. And to me, that's going to be the future of where sports is going. How do you maximize all that?
And I think you talked about this earlier, but there's just a lot of noise. We get bombarded in so many different ways.
You get millions of messages flying at you every day.
Messages, emails, everything, social influencers, et cetera. So how do you make each one of them as authentic as possible, meeting them where they are? Well, I'm excited about the continuing need for beverages at all sporting events. So hopefully that's going to continue in the future. I want to thank our panelists, Melissa, Jill, Luis. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Hopefully we gave you a few things to think about, and enjoy the rest of the conference.